This dude is a personal trainer. What being a personal trainer taught me about women. Let's see.
I'll tell y'all, being a personal trainer at these luxury gyms, Equinox, Boston Sports Clubs in Wellesley, Massachusetts. Look up Wellesley, Massachusetts. Like I would say it's top 2, top 3, like wealthiest city in Boston. Like when I was a trainer at these places, especially when I was in college, because that was my first ever quote unquote occupation that I did, especially while I was in college, there were a lot of interactions that I would have with women, married women specifically, not single women. I did have some single women that I worked with. That's fine. But married women, I would have some interactions with them that would leave me scratching my head because, you know, I'm a very moral person and obviously don't shit where you eat, right? Like always, that was always my mindset. Never shit where you eat. And also never touch another man's wife, right? That's another thing. Consensually, of course. I know some people are going to think like I'm saying something crazy, but I would have these crazy experiences where, you know, obviously I'm a trainer. I'm here to make money. I'm making money and I'm working with these women. And
someone said he's been training their throats. Jeez.
They start to get really flirtatious, right? And you start to wonder because you know that they're married because they came with their husbands in that consultation. Their husbands were sitting in that consultation. Their husbands were egging them on to actually be trained by me. And they were all for it. And then once the husband left and they were just me and them in the gym, right? They would start to, you know, say flirtatious things. They say, "Oh, you're so attractive." Like, "Oh, your muscles. I love how you look." Like, "Oh my God, like you're so amazing. I wish my husband was like that." And they would start to say things.
Jeez Louise. Yeah. Guys, there's no negotiating attraction, period. Like it's the reason step 1 lift is literally the first step in the red pill is because this is a primal thing. No amount of money saving you. If you're a fat fuck and you look disgusting, out of shape, you don't take care of yourself, beer belly, gut, nasty ass, corn toes, none of it. Not happening.
Things like this in the beginning, right? And I would work with these women for about 3 to 6 months, right? Nothing crazy. But as the weeks went on, the flirtations got more and more and more and more and more, right? To the point where it just got to a point where I'm like, "You're married." Like I wouldn't tell them this, but in my head, I'm like, "You're married. Like, how could you be this flirtatious? Like, how could you be egging me on so much?" And it would get to a point, I would say typically around week 8, they would be like, "Hey, I'm not going to lie. Like, I'm really attracted to you. Like, I don't really do much when I'm at home. My husband's not there. He's always at work. You can come over," or something like that. Or like, "Hey, let's go do this. Let's go do that." And I would politely say no. I respectfully say no, because obviously, you know, I respect their husbands. I respect what they're doing. I respect the hustle that they're doing. But there was one thing I realized, because these demographic of women were rich women, right? And these rich women were always left at home by themselves. They were always bored. So they always wanted to talk to a lot of these guys who were in these services industries, right? They would have their own personal masseuse who was a male. They would have their own trainer who was a male. They'd have their own gardener who was a male. They'd have all these male services around them, right? Clearly for a reason. It never was just that, right? It never was just.
And married women are the easiest because you're only competing against one guy instead of like 30, 40 dudes DMing her. Seriously, married, like you go to the club. If a married woman's in the club, that's a red flag. Auto divorce, bro. If she says some shit like, "I want to go out with the girlfriends," auto divorce. Just end it right then and there. Stop wasting your time. And literally the ones with a ring on their finger is like shooting fish in a barrel. They're so fucking starved for attention, for some D, for some, you know, anything whatsoever, because their husbands are probably working to support the family, blah, blah, blah. I don't give a fuck. They got in an argument, something. Who gives a shit? Wife at the club, game over. Like, it's a complete joke. So the competition becomes you just beating her husband, who literally they're probably having a fight because that's why she's at the club anyways, or she's, you know, not happy about something going on in their personal life, or she needed to go blow off some steam with the girlfriends from watching the kids and all that stuff. And all of a sudden some young buck comes around looking good. He actually takes care of his body, all that shit. And your woman's gone, done. You're fucking toast. Wife at the club. Wow.
Just for like their actual trade work that they did. But as I was talking to them more, I would try to understand what was going on at home, because that would give me a good understanding of why they act the way that they act. Because I do believe that women who feel neglected or who feel like they're just sitting at home and just like their husband is out doing whatever he's doing, again, respectful, because he's going out, he's going on business trips. Who knows what he's doing on these business trips, of course. But like, he's bringing in money, right? She's living this comfortable lifestyle. Why would you talk to a 19-year-old personal trainer who's in college still? Like, why would you do that? You know what I mean? So it always hit me in the back of my head, like, what's going on? Like, why are you choosing to talk to me versus the guy who's rich? Don't women like rich guys? Don't they only want money? And when I started to really analyze this, I noticed that the money was kind of like a safety net for them. They want the rich guys because the rich guys have the money that will give them the lifestyle that they want. But the fun comes in with the guy who may not be rich, but also has a certain personality and has a certain edge to him that they're super attracted to, more of like the high testosterone guy, right? That like they just have like this crazy fondness of, they fantasize over. A lot of women fantasize over the personal trainer. They fantasize over the masseuse that touches them a little bit in a certain way and they get excited and they want to do this and they want to do that. I'm not saying all women, but that happens consistently. And it got to a certain point where I was really just asking so many questions about their relationships, and they would open up. They would say a lot. They say, "Oh, well, you know, he doesn't last very long. Like it's kind of boring. Like I've never orgasmed in my sex life at all." Like they would just like throw this shit out there, and they would bash the guy so much. And in my head, I'm like, "But he's a millionaire." Like, bro,
but you gotta simps. That's what guys don't understand. They think like money solves all your problems. Money just solves one of the major problems. And that's that safety net, provisioning. But if you don't have protection, if you're some fat dude, some skinny, nerdy dude, some fucking, just a loser, bro, apart from you standing on a mountain of money, she's still going to have that fundamental biological need to get her back blown out by a dude that looks like he could do the protection, although he has no provisioning. The game is cold. You must meet both standards. It is what it is. That's like, what would be the reverse for guys? It's like your woman getting fat and lazy and doesn't take care of herself. And, you know, she thinks that's enough to keep you. That's fine, bro. You know, I could let myself go. He's my husband now. And then the dude steps out and still, you know, she doesn't see that it's her fault that she got fat, broke the contract, you know? Or you meet a fat chick and you're supposed to love her forever. Or that when she loses weight, as if your opinion on her doesn't change or she gets hotter. Or that you're looking at skinny chicks and you're like, wow, dude, looking a little too long. And that you're supposed to pretend you love her chubby cheeks. Like, come on, bro. Come on. We both have that fundamental underpinned contract when we deal with each other. Youth and beauty, protection and provisioning. It's that simple.
When I tell you, Wellesley, Massachusetts, billionaires out there, right? There are. I remember when I was waiting tables, because I did a little bit of serving at the country club, the Wellesley Country Club. The CEO of Bank of America was there. I'll never forget that. I didn't even know who he was. I served him, right? And these are the types of guys that live there. Like all the NBA players live there, everything, right? And all of their wives, I'm not saying his wife or I'm not saying any NBA player's wife, but like a lot of these rich guys' wives would go to these trainers and they would flirt with them and they would do things with them. And it always puzzled me because I'm like, you have something safe at home. Why are you coming here and taking the risk with somebody? What if he finds out? Right. But then obviously, you know, they have probably half of whatever the guy has and they feel like they can do whatever they want. And it was just crazy to experience this stuff. And they would always talk about how like he doesn't necessarily listen to me. He doesn't pay enough attention to me. I always feel like I'm alone. I'm with the kids. Like I just like want to have some fun. Right. And it's tough to hear this as a man because you're like, man, what if this shit happens to me? Which, again, it can happen to anybody.
There's also another thing, like rich people of that kind of magnitude of wealth have very different boundaries in their relationships. These guys are hyper-focused on money and will sacrifice absolutely everything for it. Until you meet some of them, you don't really understand. Like they're operating on another playing field, another level mentally. For them, family and kids, it's just like a little check mark on a list. You know, it's like, yeah, you're supposed to do the whole wife thing and a few children. Boom, I'll pick this one. She's a model from here. She's like a ballerina from there. She's, you know, blah, blah, blah. Some woman that's going to give him, you know, some beautiful woman, right? He's got his specimen, trophy wife. Put some kids in her and the dude doesn't give a fuck. Doesn't give a fuck if she stays or leaves. The deal is I'll take care of you for life. Don't care what you do, who you go see. You do not tarnish the reputation of the family. Don't care what you're creeping with. I don't give a shit about you. I'm on my business trips doing what I'm doing. Don't ask me any stupid questions. Know your role. Watch the kids. Be quiet. Don't ask anything. And that's it. And that's like the understanding that these mega uber rich people have. And for them, it works. So on the download, they're creeping. All of them are on the down low. A lot of rich people operate like this. It's not fathomable for the average person because we're talking about people that are wired on the opposite extremes. So, yeah, it's for an average person, like marriage and a divorce and cheating is like life ruining events. For very wealthy people where money's not an object, it's irrelevant. For them, what matters more is reputation. That's it. When reputation matters more than money, you're on a different playing field. You don't look at money the same, man. For them, it's all about maintaining an image.
It happened to me, it happened to you, it can happen to anybody. It doesn't fucking matter. The reality is it is a possibility, right? But what I've also noticed is it's a possibility that can be reduced if you're a man who can basically do more, right? And again, this is going to piss off a lot of guys. They're like, why do I have to do more? I just don't want to date women at all. Go ahead. Don't do that, right? That's your prerogative. But I take that as a masculine man. I take that as a challenge. Like, how can I be somebody who's also fun, cool to talk to, like can actually give the woman a good experience while also getting the money as well, right? It's good to have both. But a lot of these guys will be so focused on their careers, which again, respect to them because that's super important. But the women would be on the side just fucking around, right? Idle's mind is the devil's playground is what I learned. Because as they're doing these exercises, they're pointing their butt out a certain way. They want to do more squats. All of a sudden, they want you to get right behind them. They want you to do all these different things. And I just realized, man, I'm like, if you're a dude and you let your woman like go be with like a male trainer or like a male masseuse or any of these.
Someone commented, most women have nothing to offer. I would argue both. Most men and women today have nothing to offer. And if you just separate yourself from the pack, even slightly, just work out, just eat clean, just take care of your mind, just for yourself, you're already on another playing field. Really, the competition, the bar is fucking in the dumpsters right now for the average person. So
these different services, you're kind of cooked at the end of the day, especially if you're a grinder, if you're somebody who's really working hard and building and you're not at home very often. The likelihood of something happening is a lot higher. And I didn't realize this until I went through that process. And once I started to understand, like,
astronomical, that's what I don't believe. If you had to ask me about like marriage, would you get married if your woman had a job? No, absolutely not. You mean to put your woman in some work environment with a bunch of other dudes, horny as fuck, especially in a compromised power position with bosses, multiple bosses, and that be her day in and day out, on top of what other duties she has in the household, and to come home to you and you don't think there's going to be some time in between all these years where she's broken? Come on, man. No thanks. That's why I told you guys marriage is something for the wealthy in America these days. Otherwise, it just doesn't make any fucking sense.
It's not about the money. It's not. It's about the fun. It's about the thrill. It's about the emotional roller coaster. A lot of these guys, when I would meet them, when they would come and sit down at like, we would do halfway point reviews and stuff like that. And like they'd want to renew and everything. They would be so excited that I'm working with them. They're like, man, you're doing so great. She looks so amazing, et cetera, right? And it's like they just didn't understand what was going on behind the scenes. It like could not even be possible in their mind that their wife would be flirting with a 19-year-old personal trainer. Like, what? Like, I have the money. Of course she's attracted to me. It's like, no. And by the way, a lot of these guys were fat. A lot of these guys were fat, out of shape. I was like, man, I'll train both of you guys. I jokingly say this in the consultations. I'll be like, man, I can train both of you guys. Actually, that'd be dope. And of course, the woman would be like, no, it's just for me. It's just for me. And the guy would be like, yeah, she can have that. I'm good. Now, what's crazy is the woman would want to get in better shape. The man would not. As she got in better shape, she would start to look in different directions, right? I would see the same woman looking at other trainers as well, not just me. I'm not saying that I'm like this Casanova or nothing like that. It was just the idea of being with somebody who was in shape, somebody who was young, somebody who looked adventurous, somebody who looked like they were just living life just on the edge. Like that's what they were looking for, And so it got to a certain point where I just realized it's not all that it seems to be. Like chasing money is great to be able to chase a fulfilled life when it comes to like your finances to make sure that you're not stressed all the time. But it gets to a certain point where all of your life as a man has to be balanced, right? And it's like you can have the greatest woman in the world, but if you neglect her completely, she's going to go awry. She's going to start doing other shit because they need attention. All of them do. It's normal for them to want attention. But it was just crazier to see these rich women who had the money, who wanted people who didn't have the money. All the trainers around.
Yeah, because they were trash in the first place. These rich men selected garbage. You think, bro, Elon might be the richest man in the world, but that dude married a chick, divorced her, then I don't know how much longer after that, a year or two, or I don't fucking know. He remarried the woman he divorced only to divorce her again, second time around. Just because you're like a business magnate, you're an absolute genius at starting companies, you got a great engineering mind, you can still be a complete fucking tard when it comes to women. That's a whole different skill that you have to teach yourself. And if you're after money, power, fame, all that other shit, honestly, being skilled with women is fucking irrelevant. Anyways, you're chasing something bigger than getting your pipe wet. So more kudos to them. If I was Elon, if I had that kind of I wouldn't give a fuck either. I would, bro. That guy wired different. In order to get that kind of money, your brain just does not function like the average person. They don't care. Same shit. This is what happened with Tom Brady. You know, with his wife Giselle. She told him, the story is that she told him to stop playing one more fucking season in Florida, I believe. And that dude's just wired different. He wants to be the GOAT, greatest of all time. He's got the fire in him to compete. Almost went to the Super Bowl again. He's old as fuck, bro, doing it. He's still doing it at a high level. And he couldn't stop. And he said, cool story. So my family or football? I choose football. And so she left him and she cheated with like a trainer and some other shit. We don't know what happened first or whatever, but the point is, any other normal man would have been like, you know what, you're right, I need to retire. I could get hurt. I'm old. What's another Super Bowl ring? Whatever. That dude was like, fuck all that. I'm going to leave a legacy behind. Sacrifice everything and everyone. Some people don't care.
I mean, also, were kind of similar to me financially. Like, we weren't balling, probably making around $50K a year, $40K a year, doing the training stuff at the gym. You know how the gym works. Like, you get paid probably 20%, if best, of what they're paying you per session, right? The going rate for those gyms that I was working at, the Equinox one in San Francisco, was $200 a session, right? Crazy, $200 a session. The one in Wellesley in Boston, Massachusetts was around $90 a session, $90 to $100 a session. So these were like higher price things. And so we would get a small percentage of that. We'd only get 20%. And I just understood. I was like, man, it's not what the whole like idea of women, like it just shattered my idea. Like it helped me understand that like you are not safe even with money. If you're one dimensional, if you only have money, you're not safe. You got to have multiple different attributes to you that wow, the woman, you have to be in her fantasy consistently as a man. Like if you're jacked, you're in shape and you're also making money and you're also charismatic.
Yeah, but look at all the shit you got to do to keep one of these Western women. Why would a guy want to be jacked, be great, charismatic, James Bond, plus billions in the bank? Like, we're not talking about what the fuck's a woman got to do and what's her, gender expectations. Like, you don't have to be Superman with Batman's wallet outside of the Western world. That's part of the issue with this shit. It's like, I understand the bifurcation between, hey, you got to work on yourself. Don't let yourself get fat, bro. Trim your fucking beard. Don't have corn toes. Brush your nasty fucking teeth. Yeah? But at the same time, it's like you can't be Mr. like gold dick, supreme fucking being on planet Earth, blessed by the gods, just to keep an average woman. Like that's also insane ask of guys. So I think, realistically, it's you do the best you can for yourself, for your health, for your mind, body, spirit, get those aligned, and then find somebody that fits like a puzzle into your life. So all that other shit is stupid. To go above and beyond for somebody that's always going to feel like they settled for you, stupid. To go above and beyond for somebody that was broken by their parents or broken by society and told to hate men and all this shit is stupid. Why work so hard for somebody like that? That's adversarial from the get-go. So I understand why some guys will say some shit like, what's the point of even trying? You don't try for women, you try for yourself. Now, if you find a woman along the way as you're building your dream life for who you are, then you hit the fucking jackpot. But other than that, telling dudes like you got to be this perfect specimen just to keep a woman is nutty too.
And you're also super competent in other areas of life. She will always be attracted to you for the most part. And you have the freedom to be able to do things with her and have adventures with her. Like a lot of these women would always tell me like, oh yeah, we go on vacation like once a year, because he's always traveling for work and stuff like that. And I'm always like with the kids and all of that. And they would tell me everything about their relationships, everything about their lives. And I would feel so bad for these guys because maybe they knew, maybe they didn't know. Maybe they just didn't give a fuck, honestly, because I've also come across a lot of guys who are well off that don't give a fuck what their woman does because they're also doing some shit on the side and they're really just there to build the family, build the legacy, and just do whatever, right? This will typically happen. But it would be so interesting to understand how these women think and how they view their relationship and how they don't give a fuck about their relationship and how they see their relationship as almost a crutch to their life versus like something that is actually a benefit for them. I mean, they're benefiting with the money. They're benefiting with the guy who's ambitious, right? But they want the other things. They want the intangible thing or the tangible things that aren't necessarily as important as the money. And as I started to learn this, even when I was at Equinox, it was the same exact pattern, the same exact scenario. These rich women would come around. They would talk. They would over talk about their conversations with their husbands and their issues in the bedroom, their issues with his physical appearance, their issues with his over dedication to work. And it's like, in my mind, I'm like, how ungrateful could you be? Like this guy that you're married to, this multi-millionaire, is out here doing everything possible to keep your life beautiful. But you go to this personal trainer who possibly would financially ruin your life.
Gold diggers.
To get...
He's rich. He married some gold diggers. He broke off a little piece of the nugget because he's got plenty of gold. And he said, here, make me some pretty babies, do your fucking job, and peace out. I got other shit to do. I got to keep digging for more and more gold.
Something, the 10% that you don't have. So it was an interesting dynamic where I realized that a lot of men think that like, okay, I can give...
Yeah, man, the advent of social media just messed everything up, honestly. No one's going to be happy anymore in any relationship. Just go online, become depressed, compare yourself to everybody else. You know, you could be the wife of a multimillionaire, and because you didn't go to the Maldives this year like that other fucking Karen next door did, and you're seeing their perfect bullshit lives, and keeping up with the Joneses never ends. And, you know, it's like you get this harpy next to you. Yeah, she's out drop dead gorgeous, but you can't fucking stand her, so you're always working, always making money, and blah, 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 blah. And then this is how you get this life. And then you got a whole neighborhood of multi-millionaire harpies, bro. Just with these guys are always gone on business trips, making deals, being on the news, you know, building legacies. And the harpies are at home just angry. Like, I haven't went on my 6th trip to the Maldives and the fucking yacht is in Monaco and he's always on business. He doesn't care about me. And fucking so stupid. Love the hat. Thanks, bro. I saw someone say it's Vietnam Bow in here.
90%. And even if I don't have the 10%, it's fine. But they don't tend to realize the 10% that they ignore is the 90% that the woman wants. It goes both ways with relationships that I've noticed. When I've trained these women, I finally realized this. I was like, a lot of men think like I'm giving 90% of what I think she wants. And I don't have that 10%. And in the woman's mind, he's giving nothing because there's the 10% that she wants is the 90% that he gives. And the 90% that she wants is only actually 0% of what he gives. So there's like a misalignment in what's being given on both sides, right? That's why men cheat because they look for that 10% that they don't have in the household. That's why women cheat because they look for that 10% that they don't have. That means more to them than the 90% that they're getting. So it was a very interesting dynamic. And luckily for me, man, like I believe in karma, so I never, ever, ever shit where I eat, bro. Like never.
That's rare.
And I would just come away with so much more wisdom and so much more understanding of like women who actually are
that's rare
in marriages with successful men, like how they truly.
The dudes I knew that were doing the personal training thing were absolutely raw dogging all these married women.
We think how money is not everything. It is something. It is something that's very important. I'm not sitting here saying that you should not go get money and you should just get jacked and be broke and live whatever. Do both because you can do both. And that's what I would always look at their husbands and I'm like, bro, you could go to the gym. You're not traveling every single day. And even if you are traveling, there's a gym in that hotel. You can go train. You can take care of yourself. You don't have to look the way that you look. But they don't care because they're like money. Most of these guys were money hungry. To get to that level to where like these guys were making they had like multi-millions of dollars in money that was coming into them every single year. They had these billion-dollar corporations, but they didn't give a fuck about their health because they just cared about the money. And I would see the relationship just like drift. And I would see the upcoming problems that would come in. A lot of these guys end up getting divorces because they would come back into the gym a year or two later and be like, yeah, things didn't work out, man. Like everything went bad. And they would literally just like go to the gym and start to train because they realize, damn, I need to get in shape. I didn't take care of my body and stuff like that. They would talk about the sex life that they had. They would say how it was piss poor. And it just taught me so much, man. But like, I wanted to tell you guys this because I know a lot of us are here, like, you know, we're chasing the bag, we're chasing the money, we're chasing all these things. And we also do want to have women, right? We do. We are, you're attracted to women, right?
Okay. Interesting. Trust me, Martel, if you had the money, look, status, sex, etc., there would still be something wrong with you in her eyes. She has a problem being happy with herself. So she's on the lookout for external validation. Key, big key right there. Told you from the get-go, this is a character flaw deeply embedded in these people. This is what you have to vet for. This is why I said social media use is so important, because the way people use social media, either for validation or for something like research, a tool for information, or just keeping up with family. In a more positive aspect, you're fine. But 99% of people are probably using it for external validation. And so it has a negative effect on their mentality. And you get a woman like that absolutely craves that online attention, you're fucking cooked, bro, no matter what you do. Literally, some like morons online will convince you're a woman while you're not doing enough.